Welcome back. Taking a full look at weather now. Weather Authority Chief Meteorologist Dan Cianca. I know I keep pointing out to chilly mornings and it's chilly, but you were saying we've actually had warmer weather. I need to pay better attention, Dan.
Well, no, I mean, you were completely right. Our mornings have been colder than normal, and then our afternoons have been warmer than normal. That's common with the dry air mass, and that's where we're sitting right now. So if you only are outside in the morning hours, you're probably like, man, it's cold out here. But if you went out this afternoon, you're probably like, man, we're in the heat wave right now. I like this. I'm going to the beach. But let's take a live look from Domenico's on the wharf tonight. And here is what we are seeing out there. We can see some ripples on the water, a little bit of movement in the masts of the boats, but nothing too crazy going on this evening. Things are pretty calm. Skies clear, no fog. The air is fairly dry. There is moisture, don't get me wrong. The air mass is dry itself. The ground is still very moist, so it's possible that we may see some ground fog here or there, but it'll be very thin and very low to the ground. Kind of like, you know, we're talking like zombie movie type of fog, where it's just kind of like low and it's just rolling out of the cemetery at night, that kind of stuff is what we're talking about. So nothing major, shouldn't cause any major issues for us. But other than that, mostly clear skies expected through the overnight. We're still sandwiched in between two weather systems, although one is heading out here. It is skit-daddling. It did bring some severe weather with a Texas tornado today. Actually, probably several reports, but one certainly that moved to the southern suburbs of Houston. And then that storm system now moving across the deep south. Meanwhile, back west, our ridge of high pressure, which has been here for a little while, it's going to stay for a while. And on the east side of it, we continue to see this dry northerly flow. It was cold at first, and it's modifying slowly to warm up for us. So over the next couple of days, we'll see warmer temperatures both in the morning and at night. But this pattern won't stay this way forever. High pressure will eventually break down. It's going to stay here for several more days, though, so more of the same weather-wise through the end of the week, which is kind of cool mornings but warm afternoons. However, the ridge does skinny up a bit as we head into the weekend, and that's going to allow for a trough to develop here across the Pacific Northwest and one storm system to climb down the coast and bring us the potential for some rainfall. Now, this system doesn't have a good moisture tap to it. It does have a lot of cold air with it, so it's got some oomph to it, but it's not going to be able to do much with that oomph. We'll see some light rain, I think, on and off Sunday into Monday as it passes by. Even maybe some snow up on our mountaintops, as the air mass is going to be cold enough to support that. So kind of an interesting weather picture shaping up as we head into that Sunday to Monday time frame. Beyond that, the ridge will flatten out a bit, and that may eventually allow for systems to make it across the Pacific and reach the west coast here, which could potentially lead to some heavier weather for us. So we forward things all the way to Friday next week, and you can see weather system coming through. This has the potential for some heavier rainfall, and I'll show you why. Here's our future moisture with the ridge sitting out here. We just don't really have any of these moisture streams headed toward the coast. Here's Salinas on the coast right here. Eventually, as that first system comes through, we didn't even see any moisture associated with it, but next week, there's that next Friday. So we're not talking this Friday, but next Friday, 10 days from now, math, maybe 11. I'm not going to count it for you, but either way, rain has that moisture source as we head into late next week, and then potentially something else beyond that. So it looks like we're heading back into a more wet pattern. At the moment, it's a little spread out. We're seeing a first system this weekend, which isn't going to have a lot of moisture, but there's some things to watch as we head into the late next week, as we have the potential for some heavier rainfall and perhaps more beyond that. In the meantime, we're going to be talking about temperatures like we were today. And as we head out there tomorrow morning, we're going to start the day in the low 30s in the San Lorenzo Valley and in Scotts Valley. Patchy frost possible. Can't rule out some black ice. Had another report of black ice this morning. Both over the last couple of days have been north of Watsonville. So especially in that Aptos Hills area, Larkin Valley area, Freedom Boulevard area, just be careful as some of this moisture is still dripping across roadways, and with cold air sitting there can cause some slippery situations. That's possible in the Santa Cruz Mountains as well, with temperatures in the low 30s. We'll be back in the mid 60s tomorrow afternoon, though. Ben Lomond, 66 tomorrow. Get it, girl. If you're Carol and Ben Lomond. Santa Cruz, 65 tomorrow, looking pretty nice. The beach looking a lot nicer out there. Saw some photos of that today. Way less trees on it, so, you know, back to sand, less driftwood. 65 in the Dale of Prunes tomorrow, 67 in Salinas, Gilroy around the 65 after a low in the low 30s tomorrow morning. The Monterey Peninsula looking mighty fine as well, 64 in Pebble Beach and Monterey as well, 64 also in Seaside. One of my Facebook friends was talking about the day somebody tried to light the lone cypress on fire. This was back in the 80s. It was blamed on somebody, or then they tried to paint it red or something. Man, luckily that thing's been doing a little bit better. I know we lost a limb from it a couple years back with the storms, but it's being protected a little more right now. Maybe take a look at that on a 17-mile drive tomorrow. And as we look down south, some spots in the 20s overnight, the Pinnacles, the San Antonio Valley. Look at those highs for the Salinas Valley back in the mid-60s. Soledad 67 tomorrow, looking pretty nice. How about that 7-day forecast? Temperatures slowly heading upward, highs peaking on Thursday. And then we'll start to head back downward. We showed you that big cold trough of low pressure beginning to dig down the west coast toward the end of the week and eventually bringing us those rain chances Sunday and Monday. It'll have colder air with it as well, so expect cooler temperatures. Soak it up this week, no doubt about it. Looks like nice weather if you're going to go to Cannery Row and stand in line for the free aquarium day. Sorry, folks in southern Santa Clara County who do get the KION coverage area. It's just San Benito, Santa Cruz, and Monterey counties that get that benefit, I suppose. Inland areas peaking also on Thursday, cooler toward the weekend. We're going to keep a close eye on those rain chances for you. I wouldn't panic at all just yet. Again, a lot can change in that long-term forecast, but at this point, I do expect summer into the area Sunday and Monday. Veronica.
Sounds good, Dan. Thank you.